everyone. Okay, so our next bit that we are going to do is we are going to take two vines. So I've got a wonderful classroom vine that needs a bit of rehoming and a bit more support. And I've got the wonderful ivy vine who's doing great but could use a bit of an upgrade to help it move up. I'm not nervous about doing this in the kitchen at all. What are you talking about? Do you want? And don't forget to ask your parents' permission before even taking anything out of the kitchen and using it for gardening. So for this one, I've just got your normal everyday soil, potting mix, sorry. I have not gone to the garden because we're all out of spare soil in the garden at the moment. So for this one, because it's a vine, I want to make sure it's right at the top of the pot, so there's no shadow caused by the edge of the lip, but also because the vine likes to go over it, I don't want to put it so low in the pot that it's having to go up and then down, and then like what happened with my botanist's succulent, where we had to move the pot because it was strangling itself. So I'm going to make a nice little divot in here. Make sure it's not too tightly packed, remember? And I've got my beautiful vine here. Now, beautiful plant, I don't want to damage it. So what I'm going to do is find the best place to put my hand to support the plant. Say it's back here, and like a pancake, I'm just going to flip it. Okay. Now, if you can see, because it's a nice mature plant, it's got all these beautiful roots. You can see how it's almost wider at the edges at the bottom. That's because all of the new growth has meant that it's started to wrap around. Now, because I'm putting this in a bigger pot, just want to loosen this just a little bit. I don't want to accidentally tear it or rip it, but I just want to loosen it so that it knows, hey, I don't have to live in this tiny little circle anymore. I can actually spread out a little bit and take advantage of this fantastic new pot that I get to live in. You know, just coming up. Oh, it was definitely ready. I didn't realize how ready it was for a new pot until I've seen this, because if we leave them in small pots and they keep growing roots, what happens is it just sort of stagnates and it can get a bit sick actually. So I've just loosened the roots. I don't want to take away the soil that it's already in because it's happy with that. I don't want to put it into shock, which is something that plants do. All right, and I've got my soil. I've got a bit of spare soil to pop on the top. 1, 2, 3, and pancake. All right, that looks good. It's right in the center. And then what I want to do is I just want to fill it up. I leave it in its original soil because the plant both takes and releases nutrients. So it's kind of like when you take a pet somewhere and you put them in a basket from home with familiar smells. So you might put a blanket in there or a cushion or something that helps it feel secure because it remembers the smells. It's kind of the same with the plant. It wants to be familiar. It doesn't want this to be an entirely new experience. Otherwise, what it will do is it will go into shock and it will stop growing quite so beautifully. Wow, this fruit bowl is amazing for this. All right. Now for this one, because I'm not actually propagating anything, I don't need to give it extra nutrients. I don't need to wrap it in Glad wrap. I'm going to give it some water so it stabilizes in the soil. So it will sink a little bit. It looks like it's just sort of coming out of the pot right now. But once I give it some water, you'll see it will come down. So there you go. A nice bigger pot for this beautiful plant who's been doing some amazing growing. And nice and secure. All right, so one of the reasons to do this is the roots need room to grow. Once it gets beyond its own pot, it will start to get sick. So it's always a good idea to upgrade it, but also this pot then becomes useful. How does it become useful? Well, why I like to do all my planting and propagating in one day is that this little pot with our classroom plant in it will now graduate to a bigger pot. So I'm not constantly having to re-buy pots. Reuse, recycle, and upcycle. Alright. Oh yeah, this is definitely the pot mix. Sorry, for a minute I was like, oh no, not the citrus stuff. Alright, so here we go. I've got the same pot, and very clean and healthy in here. I haven't had to wash it or anything. It's been really good for the other plants, so I'm not even going to worry about. There's no obvious mold in the pot, so I'm not going to give it a clean and a dry. Then I'm going to pancake our plant, but I'm going to leave the leaves on the bench for this one, just because, like we said, the leaves are so heavy. So I'm going to pancake it over the other pot. Ooh, look at that. Yeah, so same thing. Just going to give it a bit of a squeeze and a loosen. Let it know, hey, you can grow out now. You don't have to stick to the same pot anymore. Again, a bit more of a hole. I'll cut that bit out. I will then bring it back up, because remember it's a vine, so as soon as it hits soil, it will start to make its own roots. So I'm just going to bring this one back up at the end, stick that back in the soil, and do it for the other side as well. Here we go. Nice fresh bits, some fresh bits over here. And I'm also just going to place this in the soil. So this means instead of having one root system that's having to hold on to all those leaves and all that weight, I'm hopefully in a week or two going to have 3 root systems that will be in charge. And the funny thing is about this plant is that you don't even have to go very deep. It's so reactive to the concept of that is soil, and it will quite happily just be like, okay, cool, time to grow. So not as long maybe, but much more secure. So that is also going to go into a nice warm location. All right, so last but not least, we have spider plant. So again, starting small, build them up, support them as they grow. Okay, just got a nice bit of soil there, and this one is super duper easy. I take the leaves away from the roots, make a little hole, push it in, go, and a bit of support. There you go. All you need is water, and it's ready to go. See, super easy. All right, guys. That only leaves me with some repotting. I've got some problems with the terracotta pots because of their ability to, again, more air pockets than plastic pots. So what happened was the water got into the terracotta, which meant that the ground stayed very dry, too wet, which meant that the soil and the terracotta worked together and created mold. So I'm going to go fix that up and give these a bit of TLC. I hope that you have enjoyed your lesson. Ooh, I forgot the propagate. And I put it up. Alright, hi everyone. So this one is a fancy version of what I was talking about before, with you can get a can, fill it with water and start your propagation. This one is glass, so it allows me just to see how the roots are going instead of having to pull them out and check, but it's not something I don't do. I just don't have one at the moment. So this one's nice and easy in the sense that I just need to put it in the sun plus water. So fill this up with a bit of water. See? And then I'm just going to take some of the things that fell off during our gardening extravaganza. So I've got a bit of that beautiful purple and green. I'm just going to take off the bottom 3 leaves because that's the rules. Bottom 3 leaves, off they go. And I'm just going to place it until the very bottom is just touching the water. I don't want it to be all the way in the water because then it's just going to rot. It just should be touching the water, which is why the steel pikes, I guess, are holding it there so it can hold it up just above the water. What else have I got? I wonder what else mess I've made. Ooh, I've got to reject a bit of lemon tree. Hey, let's have a look and see what happens if I do this. So, let me just take my bit of lemon tree. The reason I like doing this is no harm, no foul. So if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and it's pretty easy to tell when it doesn't work because it won't do anything in the water. The only thing you have to remember is when doing water, you need to replace the water often because nobody likes stagnant water. Stagnant water is when it doesn't move and it builds up bacteria on the top level. This is not good for plants. So every 2 to 3 days, I'll replace the water on that. That's why I keep it nice and close to the sink, so remember to do that. All right. The next thing I just have to show you is succulents, which I will do in the next video and then mash this all together.